According to PwC Nigeria, Nigeria holds as much as $900 billion worth of dead capital in residential real estate and agricultural land. The value of the federal government abandoned properties alone, according to the Nigerian Institute of Building, is projected to be about 230 billion naira, and about a half of Nigeria's population live in cities, of which almost 80% of them are living in substandard conditions. Finding the political will to act and unlock Nigerians' dead real estate assets will have a transformative impact on the lives of Nigerians. Glad to have you join me on Housing Development this week. As always, I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Before we begin, as usual, let's see the trending news in the housing sector. I'll be back shortly.
The death of a venerable statesman, outstanding politician, and the first civilian governor of Lagos State, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde, has come as a shock. Jakonde's death was announced in a statement released by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. It described him as a journalist of red boots and a leader of remarkable achievement, whose record has been difficult to beat. He said Alhaji Jakonde's death is a colossal loss and will be missed by all. Late Jakonde will be fondly remembered for his various mass housing programs, which today has become a place of succor for a good number of Lagosians. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved an agreement that will lead to the renovation of the National Theatre in Lagos for 21 billion naira. This was disclosed by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, at the end of a recently concluded meeting. The money for the renovation is expected to be provided by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Mr. Mohammed said the FEC approved the execution of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Federal Ministry of Information and the CBN. He said it is a landmark approval because it has paved the way for investment in the creative industry as part of the resolve of the government to create at least 1 million jobs in the next 3 years from the creative industry. The federal government's Interministerial Committee on Assets Disposal has said that it would create a central database of assets for finally forfeited assets. The chairman of the committee, Dayo Akpata, said this during a courtesy visit of the committee to the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in Abuja. Mr. Akpata, who is the Solicitor General of the Federation and the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, said the committee will see to the exercise so as to ensure the federal government gets value for all the forfeited assets. On his part, the acting chairman, EFCC, Mohammed Abba, said the commission would assist the committee in the execution of its mandate. He also promised to facilitate the request of the committee to various zones of the country for on-site inspection of forfeited assets. The chairman CEO of Cosgrove Investments Limited, Mr. Umar Abdullahi, has assured that the organization will deploy its core competence in the construction of the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center in Abuja. The center, which is an initiative of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, is expected to revolutionize digital knowledge in Nigeria. According to a statement, Mr. Abdullahi gave the assurance at the groundbreaking ceremony of the center in Abuja recently. He said the twin towers of 7 and 8 stories respectively will be fully automated, adding that the public sector projects will bear Cosgrove's signature of incorporating technology in infrastructure development.
Lateef Kayode Jakonde was born on the 23rd of July 1929 in Lagos Island, Lagos State, Nigeria. He attended primary school at Enoawa, Lagos Island, and later at Bonham Memorial Methodist School in Port Harcourt in 1934 to 1943. He studied briefly at King's College, Lagos in 1943 and then enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School in 1945, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. In 1979, he ran for the election as Executive Governor of Lagos State on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. He defeated his opponents and was subsequently sworn in as governor. During his administration, he introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He established the Lagos State University. Jakonde's government constructed over 30,000 housing units. The schools and housing units were built cheaply but were of great value. Some of the housing units include low-cost estates in Amuodofin, Ijaye, Dolphin, Okeafa, Ije, Abesan, Ikponri, Ikpaja, Abulenla, Ekpe, Anikontamo, Iba, Surulere, Ikorodu, and Badagry. In order to fund some of the projects, Jakonde increased the tenement rates and price of plots of land in affluent areas of Victoria Island and Lekki Peninsula, and the processing fees for lottery, polls, and gaming licenses. He also completed the construction of the General Hospital in Bagada and Ikorodu and built about 20 health centers within the state. As a governor, he established 23 local government councils, which were later disbanded by the military. He also started the Metro Line project to facilitate mass transit. The project was halted and his tenure as governor ended when the military seized power on 31st December 1983. Jakonde later accepted the position of Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He retired from active public life and has become a veritable source of his wise counsel to many people in the housing sector, government, and politics.
I do not know anybody here who has held a leadership position that was not influenced by Alhaji Lateef Jakonde's administration. And I'm sure that many years from now, many people, all of us, generations after, will remember the man who transformed Lagos, and by transforming Lagos, transformed Nigeria.
LKJ has gotten praises and commendations from many prominent people for his contribution to the housing sector, as his achievements have been unmatched till today.
Abuja International Housing Show.
It's about the whole of Nigeria, the whole of West Africa. You have stakeholders coming from all over, and in fact globally.
It's an excellent way of bringing thought leaders, investors
to come together and figure out ways to increase capacity in developing housing.
For more housing, finance, and construction news, visit www.africanhousingnews.com.
We had very, very high hopes at independence.
Alhaji Lateef Jakonde lived for God and for mankind. Every step of his way, the journey of life, was dedicated to the service of people. He showed it by the place he lived in the same little house in town planning way in Lukweju. He showed it by the way he served as the governor. He showed it by the vision he brought in as minister for 400,000 housing units. He showed it by stooping low to come and become the president of Redan and traverse the whole of this country to be able to get the message across that there's a need for paradigm shift in home ownership, and he was going to champion it. And some of us remember how he fell down in Kashim Ibrahim house in Kaduna. We thought that would deter him, but he got up that day, rested a little bit, and continued as if nothing happened. Only those of us who were around saw what happened. So what it in essence is that he didn't only build houses, he didn't only build schools, but he built people by mentoring both directly and indirectly. That some of us are dedicated to selfless service in the industry is as a result of what we saw in him. It's not about religion, it's not about tribe, it's about a man stepping out to leave a legacy, to leave an imprint for all of us in the industry, all of us in various industries, to know that it is possible within the current socioeconomic environment to still show forth the light in various areas that you situate yourself or you find God situating you. And I want to thank him for what he did. Part of the greatest legacy he has left is in so many people across various parts of this country who he has inspired to live a selfless life. Till the end, he still stayed in that little house, and no matter how people prodded him to change, he kept to his conviction that he can stay here. If you say it is insecure, God is his security. He can stay here and host everybody. And it is a challenge for those of us in the industry. It's a challenge for all Nigerians. And I dare say that I see so many people trying to say a lot of things about him. One thing I like to say is that if you go out of your way to appraise him, to thank God for his life, and to appreciate him, and you go back to your own corner, your office, and continue to do the opposite, you are bringing judgment on yourself. And I wish that so many of the people who are watching me, so many of the people who have been impacted by him, you have an option. Either you keep quiet and continue the way you are doing, or you praise him, eulogize him, and then change and toe the path which you have spoken by yourself that is the honorable path. Anything short of that is duplicity and judgment of everyone. So his passing is not dead. He still lives in the heart of those who he has inspired. He still lives through those who he has been able to motivate to do a lot. And both in politics, both in public service, both in the private sector, he maintained that it is possible within our current sociocultural economic environment to still do the needful and set the pace for others to follow.
Hi, I'm Bob Weinsheng, CEO of iBuild Global. Keep watching the Housing Development Program.
Timberlock Wood Preservative, the wood preservative brand leader in Africa.
Now coming up next is an exclusive interview with the president of Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Town Planner Olutoyin Ayinde, as he speaks on town planning, affordable housing and the provision of infrastructure. Take a listen.
The state of physical planning in Nigeria is what we all experience on a daily basis. When you are in any human settlement and you live with chaos, you live with a disorganized environment, you live with sites that are not encouraging, it's a pointer to the fact that enough attention has not been paid to physical planning, because physical planning is about creating order. It's about resolving conflicts and making decisions on rational allocation of land resources to conflicting uses. As human beings, we have a lot of uses. The truth about many of those in political or administrative offices is that they know very little or nothing about physical planning. It's true that a lot of people know the terminology master plan. And when they mention master plan, they look at it as if it is the master of all plans and then nothing more. But the truth is that a master plan is only one in a hierarchy of plans. A master plan is only a policy document which is not used for everyday monitoring of a human settlement system. From a master plan, you can develop sector plans, which is lower order. From a sector plan, you can have districts within a sector. From a district plan, you can have neighborhood plans. And so from a neighborhood plan, you can have a building plan, and so on and so forth. So a master plan is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. And this is what a lot of administrators, a lot of governors do not understand. That is why they need to fraternize with planners. They need town planners as advisors, really, to take decisions. For example, we have governors who make promises of building roads, who make promises of building houses. And all those promises are not backed by any plan. Any promise that is not based on a plan is likely to end in chaos. That is why the dots are not connecting in our human settlements. That's the beginning. And our duty really is to ensure that we create that awareness to enlighten those in administration and political office.
A warm welcome back. Town Planner Olutoyin Ayinde there, the National President, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. It has been estimated that building materials and building components constitute between 40 to 60% of construction costs. With the unstable economy and rising costs of building materials, you may want to carefully consider the cost of building materials in the market before venturing into real estate market. Now, what is the current price of some building materials in the market? Let's find out as Housing Development Crew visited some building material sellers in Abuja.
As Nigeria's population continues to grow geometrically, estimated at around 206 million persons and with an annual growth rate of 2.6%, the need to build more and more houses to accommodate this population has become pressing. As the need to build more houses rise, so does the need for more building materials for builders. However, this has become a great financial burden for suppliers and consumers alike, as the prices of these materials have as far as tripled in cost compared to prices before COVID-19. Mr. Cyril Okafor, a dealer in electrical materials, said prices have skyrocketed from as low as 3,800 to as high as 5,500.
Before COVID-19, like some of the material you saw here, the goods you saw here, like this one now is 35 mm armor cable. We do say before 3,800. 3,800, but now it's 5,500.
Mr. Daniel Uchechukwu, a plumber, lamented bitterly that on his end, prices have more than doubled, which has in turn greatly affected his business.
You find out that after the COVID-19, everything changed drastically. In fact, to the extent that what we were buying before at the rate of 3,000 naira is now 7,000 plus in the market. In fact, it's affected very well to the extent that you come to the market you tell your customer this is the amount you're selling the materials. You become offended. You feel that you want to rob him of his money.
Many of them, however, attributed this great hike in price primarily to the COVID-19, as it has weakened the naira against the dollar and has made clearing at WAFs terribly expensive.
During the lockdown, a lot of manufacturing companies were on this. They couldn't get work. Now the source of their raw materials were no longer available. And the little that had stock before the COVID-19 want to sell to match up with the losses they had, because salary had to be paid. And you find out that a lot of things is a spillover effect. When there was snag in production, the little available ones will be competed with, and that will jack up the prices, and it's going to affect us.
Mr. Emeka Roland, a cement seller who also lamented about the increase in the price in cement, also attributed the cost to the coronavirus and said it has greatly affected business as many suppliers could no longer keep up with demands of customers.
The reason for this started shortly after COVID-19. I started with the trucks not available, because in some places the police and security agencies apprehend them, and as a result of that, some of the trailer drivers cannot move around.
An iron rod seller who simply identified himself as Mr. Vincent said it was going to be difficult for business to go back to normal as the pandemic is still very much in place, causing travel restrictions which will impair the supply of goods.
Before I used to travel out and I will come in because I'm also dealing with plumbing materials. I travel to China, I will come back with my goods. But these days it's very difficult.
Even as the country charts out courses towards tackling the coronavirus headlong, adequate attention must be paid to not only the immigration of persons into the country, but also the importation and production of these building materials by fostering support for locally produced products and materials in the country, thus growing the economy.
I'm Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur, and I hope you'll keep watching the Housing Development Program.
You're watching Housing Development. The prices of building materials are not regulated by the government in Nigeria, and as such, these prices will vary from one place to another and from one seller to another, and also most likely on your ability to bargain properly with the seller and the quantity you're also purchasing. Now let's go for a short break. I'll be back in a moment.
Abuja International Housing Show brings an amazing opportunity to exhibit, network, develop new business relationships, and make sales. Here are things you must know about Abuja International Housing Show. The Abuja International Housing Show is Africa's biggest building and construction show, with more than 15,000 participants and over 400 exhibitors from 21 countries. Its large international participation provides excellent opportunities for global sharing of knowledge, expertise, products, and best practices. Abuja International Housing Show brings together industry leaders, investors, buyers, and entrepreneurs to develop markets and business partnerships. The event gives you access to leading-edge technical information, equipment exhibition, and valuable new professional contacts from around the world. Abuja International Housing Show, the largest housing expo in Africa.
That's the much I can bring today. Thanks for your time. To catch up on all you've missed or to watch previous episodes of the program, subscribe to the YouTube channel Housing TV Africa. Do remember to follow us on all social media platforms. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. Do stay safe out there.